Welcome to USA Global TV and Radio, where our mission is to provide education, entertainment, hope, and inspiration. USA Global TV and Radio connects you with experts and audiences all around the world every single day to help you succeed in business and to live a richer life. Visit us at usaglobaltv.com to learn about career and life-changing training and mentoring programs like the Listening Mentor. Subscribe to our newsletter to stay informed about our special programs and offers. Discover how you can become a guest on one of our shows or a host or producer of a USA Global TV and Radio show of your very own. That's USA Global TV and Radio, where the doctor is always in.
Hello, good day, good evening to you, and welcome to USA Global TV and Radio. I'm Dr. JACALYN KERBECK, in case you haven't figured that out by now. Our show is A Woman's Prerogative, and we're talking about what's cooking. I can tell you one thing, there is nothing cooking here in this house. I gave up cooking probably a year ago, and I love to cook, but it's not as much fun when you're cooking for just one or two and you don't eat the same things. So we're going to talk to people who are real experts when it comes to cooking and find out what they're whipping up. Welcome, Caroline HEWARD. Hello.
Woohoo! Hello.
Yeah, what's shaking, bacon? All right. Let's welcome Mariska. Hello, celebrating. Nice to see you. Hello. So the other girls are not joining us today. They're on holiday, so it's just the three of us. And I'm not sure whatever will we do because we can all talk until the cows come home. So it's going to be a fun show. So tell us a little bit about your interest in cooking with a scale of 1 to 10. 10 being you are totally into it. You're an expert. You're a gourmet. And 1, you're eating out of the freezer. Caroline, how about you?
Probably a 6 or a 7.
No freezer in your story.
Oh, huh? No, I'm not in the freezer. Definitely not.
Okay, that's good. So you're 6 or 7. What about you, Mariska?
I'm thinking around the same. It depends on if the mood strikes. It can go closer to an 8 or a 9. And if I feel really, really lazy, it can go closer to a 4 or maybe a 3. So
you're not eating
7 would be a good one. No.
All right, very good. No TV dinners. Do they call them TV dinners where you live?
We do, yes. But no, I never do those.
Well, I have to admit, for several years, I was eating out of the freezer. I was eating, I'm not going to say the brand because they're not going to pay me, so I'm not going to do it. But it was for people who are interested in watching their calories, and they have a whole selection of meals that, I don't want to say they're color coded, but you can pretty much figure out which food groups you need. But what I found was they have a tremendous amount of sodium or salt in them. Yeah, your fingers are like blowing up. So you would eat so many calories. You would know exactly how many calories you were eating. And so if you're watching calories, that was a good thing. But if you're interested in nutrition or living a long, healthy life, probably not so good. We do have a comment from one of our new viewers. I saw this person started following us. Gaffa Brumley, is it Pricey? Nice to have you watching live from Ghana. Woo, Ghana in the house. Thanks for being here. Thanks for finding us. By the way, if you could put into the comments, how did you find out about our channel? We'd love to know. So when it comes to nutrition versus what really tastes pretty good, which way are you leaning towards? Are you a health nut or are you more of a pleasure seeker?
I'm a bit of both. I do like my taste. I call myself a taste monster because it has to taste good. And then at the same time, when I go out wining and dining, which is not very often these days, then I'm choosy, so I'll choose things that are sourced and that are tasty. And I tend to choose vegetarian generally when I'm out, or fish. That's because I don't cook vegetarian, even though I like it. I'm sensitive to the nutrition side of it. So when I'm cooking, I don't have, I cooked without salt for years. And I've only just started adding salt to things that I'm making. And that's because, I just think it's really, really bad for you. So I don't tend to use salt. No, I just use a tiny bit in certain things.
Well, you know what Philip Sykes says from the British School of Excellence when it comes to salt? Do you know what he says?
Mm-mm. What does he say?
Neither do I. No, I'm kidding. I'm going to paraphrase. Basically, my understanding is that you should not put salt on anything until you taste it, because it might not need salt. So if you're actually dining at someone's home and you start putting salt all over, which we see people do this all the time, then it's kind of insulting to the chef because you don't know if it needs salt or it doesn't.
Yeah. So it's a good philosophy. I don't tend to add salt, but many people that have come to dinner at mine, they've added salt because I don't need the salt. And I have just started to put a small amount when I'm cooking a rice or a sauce, but I very rarely, put it in anything else.
Yeah, I don't use salt either. What about you, Mariska? Are you a pleasure seeker or nutritional queen?
I do both, and the food needs to taste good piece of things is really important on hubby's side. Otherwise, he will not eat it. So what I normally do is look at making sure that it is nutritious and then making it really, really good. So yeah, that's in general what I do. And the fresher the product and the more I know of where it comes from, and if I had a hand in it myself, even better, the better the food, because the quality of our products definitely have a big impact on how things taste.
It's very true. Now, when I think back to when I was cooking, and I cooked for a long time, I had a lot of black tie dinner parties where I did the whole thing. It's a lot of work and it's a lot of money. It's a lot of time. And so I think that's why I've gotten away from it, because I don't have any of those three. So what I've been doing is buying food that's prepared and it's freshly made there, but it's definitely not the healthiest. And then today I was fasting and I had very little time. So I called and ordered a pizza. Shame.
Hey, there you go too.
But there's one thing if you get a pizza and it's frozen, it has all those preservatives, but it was freshly made, but it's not the healthiest, right?
I'm not very good with pizza. It's too much bread for me. So I'll tell you how I've eaten pizza in the past. I just scrape off the topping. And leave all the bread.
You don't need any of the dough. Then it's not really pizza. It's just cheese and toppings, right?
I had a few friends kind of look at me a bit, kind of, what's the matter with you? Some of my friends said it was a long time ago when I was getting married. It was a hen party, and the girls at work took me out for a meal and drinks. We went to a champagne bar, and it was a pizza bar upstairs. And I says, OMG, what am I going to do with this? And what I did was I started in the middle and scraped it from the middle. And then when I'd finished, the waiter came up and he says, I have never seen a pizza eaten like that before. It was hilarious.
Did you get a discount for not eating the dough? Can I return this? Is it recyclable? No.
The girls just said I was drunk.
Oh, that'll work too. But when you think about what it is that you have cooked or what it is you're going to cook, do you normally, when I say normal, let me take a step back. If you're going to cook, is it just for you and one other person or small group? Or have you ever entertained for a large party in your home or somewhere else and you did all the cooking?
I've done a small dinner party. I used to always have friends over for dinner, and that's kind of between 4 and 6 people. So that's a small, intimate dinner party. And I've done all the cooking. That was when I was married, and then he used to do the washing up, which was really helpful. Since I've not been married, which has been about 17 years now, gosh, I cook for myself, and I cook for one other or two people if they ever come over for dinner. That's not that often these days. So from my perspective, I've learnt to cook for one. And even though that was very challenging to begin with, because I thought, well, you know, I didn't feel comfortable cooking for one. I couldn't get the portions right. And now I'm comfortable because I won't do TV dinners. I won't buy, you know, fast food or takeout. So I had to learn, you know, the hard way, really, by making a batch of sauce or something and then kind of, you know, going piecemeal at it from the fridge. So yes, it's an interesting situation. And at the same time, it's by default, I'm choosing to eat more healthily, and I'm choosing the kinds of things that I want to cook for myself and enjoy them.
Good for you. That's excellent.
Yeah.
We have a follow-up comment from Gaffa. Beautiful women in action. Well, thank you. Thank you again. Woo. What about you, Mariska?
Oh, okay. So normally cooking for two back in South Africa when the kids were still in the house, cooking for four, and then having people over. What we used to do back in SA with my mom, my brother, and my sister, and each of their families. So that was about a group of the four of us to about 15 people in total. We would divvy up a meal, and we will literally make a day of it. So we would call it a safari meal, and we will start with an appetizer, and each household got to do one piece. So we will have an appetizer, we will have the main meal, we will have a dessert, and then because it took the whole day, we will have some sort of sundowner after meal thing, or just a coffee and a snack. And we will go to the farm and go from home to home, literally, and each person would decide what they want to prepare. And depending on which meal it is that you got, we also had a little bit of a theme. So any food that would fit on a stick, for instance. So you could get very creative with any food that can fit on a stick if you have dessert. I mean, it can become really interesting. And we would do that. So we really had fun with all of that. And we would do that about once a month. Other than that, yeah, normal cooking day to day is just for two people at the moment.
Well, I think cooking is really, it can really be an art, and it can be a great way to really bond with people. And I know when I was cooking for large groups of people in my home, that everybody wants to be gathered around. Everybody wants to be in the kitchen where you're cooking, and you're thinking, just get out of the kitchen, go anywhere but the kitchen because I can't concentrate. There's no more space. But it is kind of fun. And what I would find is that many people will rush through their meal. And even though I would plate everything and put it in serving, so plate the first course, get everything together, the second course, but people will rush through, whereas other people really like to dine and make it an experience that could last for hours. So are you a person who likes to dine, or are you someone who likes to it's just food, let me get it down my body and move on?
I'm a diner. Whenever I go out, it usually takes, I love to do dinner over 2 to 3 hours, and really enjoy the experience. It's not about just the eating. It's actually it's an occasion for me. And so if I invite people over, it would be an occasion. I wouldn't just quickly swamp through, 3 courses. And I forgot to say that I've cooked for my family. Well, I cook for my family, my mum and my brothers and their children every Christmas. I actually cook a goose from scratch. And I forgot to say, I do the stuffing, homemade stuffing. I make homemade prawn cocktail. And I forgot to, it's funny, isn't it, how you forget what you do? So that's my thing that I do. And they always look forward to Auntie Caroline's homemade prawn cocktail and the goose with the homemade stuffing. And that's like my piece de resistance every Christmas. But yes, nice. I quite agree with you. When it's eaten very quickly, I always feel that took hours and hours and hours to do. And that some people eat quickly. That's their way. You know, certainly my brothers don't dine. They eat, and it's functional. And they always say, you know, I really enjoyed that. But it's, you know, horses for courses, isn't it?
I feel like half of what you just said was in another language. I need to have it transcribed. Prawns, goose, courses, horses. Okay, I love it. Mariska, have I?
English. Horses for courses means that different people, different folk do different things, and it's okay. You know, everybody is doing what they enjoy doing. So it's sometimes, what's that other expression? Different strokes for different folks.
I've heard that one before.
It's the same. It's the same thing.
Thanks for that clarification, Mariska.
Ooh, what was the question?
Dining or
dining. Yeah, do you like to eat or do you dine?
I dine, and I know quite a few people that eat. And my friend growing up, so when we used to go out, I would go out with her family and we'll go to a restaurant or wherever it was, and I would dine, and I would normally be the last person to finish. And everybody else on the table would already be done. So to me at that stage, it sort of felt like, okay, not eating fast enough. But later on, I came to the conclusion that the way that I'm eating is actually also healthy, because eating slower, our body can actually notice when we get full and when we had enough. So we don't overeat. When we eat that fast, our body actually only picks it up way too late, and then we would get to a point where it's like, oh, I ate too much. And it's partly because we ate too fast.
Very true. You're like inhaling the food.
Yeah.
And I remember we have another comment from Gaffa. I eat but don't dine. All right. Thank you for sharing that with us. I dated this guy, and I'd meet him after work, and he'd be like, this is exactly, I'm starving. I haven't eaten anything all day, like a drama queen, right? I haven't eaten anything all day. We have to go out and eat. So we go out to dinner. They present the menus, and I'm still looking through, and he goes, she'll have this, or this, and I'll have, and I'm just like, I didn't even. So then the food gets delivered, and he's like this. All right, check, please. Like, hey, let me just understand. All you've been talking about is how hungry you are. We get to the place, you shovel the food down, and then you want to leave. And he's like, yeah. And I said, it's really not any fun hanging out with you. It's, and then I have to rush through my meal. And it's kind of like, for what? It doesn't make any sense. Why even bother going out?
Yeah, I'm exactly the same. But I tend to slow down the person I'm with anyway. And
how do you do this? Talk really slowly like this.
Well, it's about, for me, it's a social occasion, and so it's an experience. And whenever I've dined out with people, it's always the same, whether it's another girl, whether it's a group of people, it's an occasion. Whether it's I'm in a couple, it's always an experience and an occasion. And that's where the conversation, the social comes into that, and I really like that. And so you can have a break in between starter and main, and have that conversation. And so it's different experiences. Some people just want to eat and move, and some people like to have that social occasion when they're eating.
And I think it depends if you're on a blind date and you're not happy being there. You go from being a diner to an eater. So speaking of eating, the title of our show is Let's Get Cooking, sharing our favorite recipes and meals. So what is it that is a favorite to you to either eat or cook, or eat and cook? Mariska?
Ooh, well, eat and cook. I like anything, especially the cooking piece, that is fast. So I like to dine and eat slowly, but I want to prepare my food really, really fast. I don't want to stand in front of the stove for ages in a day. I might do it once a month, maybe if you're lucky. But in general, the faster I can get it prepared and the easier it is to prepare, the happier I am. So a meal that I find that's really, really easy for me to make is it's a chicken dish. So I don't know if this is in any recipe books, and it has a tendency to change depending on how I feel. In general, it has capsicum in it, it has mushrooms in it, it has chicken in it because it's a chicken dish.
That's good.
And it has rice in it. And there is onion in it as well. So you fry the onion, you put the other vegetables with it, you fry that a little bit, you take that out of the same pan that you're going to use to then cook your chicken. So you do a little bit of a fry of your chicken, put spices on the chicken, and then preferably have already cooked rice that you also put in the pan with a little tiny bit of oil. And you just sort of roast the rice. So it gives it a nutty taste. It's really good. And then you throw everything together. Of course, do a bit of tasting and seasoning as you go and mix it up and voila, done.
It sounds like chicken and rice.
Basically, with a bit of vegetables.
Sounds very tasty.
Yeah, and really easy.
We like that part for sure. Before I go to Caroline, one thing that I noticed is in different places I've lived in my life, because I've lived a lot of places, that if the kitchen is not really sexy, if everything's not really available, if things are like older or dated, I'm not that interested in cooking. But if you have like the right setup in the kitchen with the right kind of, what's it called? You know, like maybe you have a mixer or you have a food processor. If you have the things that make your job easier when you're cooking, easier to prepare, then I'm more interested. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does.
Yeah.
So and I like the fact that it needs to be a sexy kitchen.
Sexy kitchen. Yeah, if the oven's old or the pots, like I'm just not interested. What can I say?
I think for me, I must have, and we have a P that goes with us traveling, is good knives. I cannot work with blunt knives. I'm sorry. I have my own knives that goes with me even when I travel, because I never know what sort of knife-ish I will find in the place where I'm staying. I can still handle most of the other things, but knives.
So let me understand. You carry your own knives when you're traveling. So in the plane, they're in the checked bag.
Well, not in the plane. In the plane, I need to sort of get
Will we be looking for your picture somewhere? If you've seen this woman. If you see something, say something. All right, so you're not traveling.
Normally when we travel by car. So we have a little vehicle that we utilize and the knives go with. On the plane, not so much. But I do prefer a place that has good knives, preferably.
Well, you can get hurt if you have knives that are dull.
Yeah.
You can really hurt yourself.
And they're no good trying to make food with them either.
It's true. Just get rid of them. That's the thing. What do you do when you have things that are, you can't use them anymore? Pots and pans, maybe they had that coating on it and it's come off now. What do? You can't just throw things away because of the landfill issue and trash. I don't know. We have a lot of knives I'd like to get rid of, but I just don't know what to do with them.
You can't sharpen them.
Do I look like I'm going to be sharpening knives?
Maybe we should put a request up. If you know how to sharpen knives, please go past Dr. JACALYN. You might find some that needs your assistance.
Well, you know what I have that I really would like to get sharpened are tweezers, because tweezers are only good for so long, and then then I start getting blood marks on me. I look like I've been shaving because I'm trying to ripping out hairs.
I hear you. I have a solution for you, Dr. JACALYN, on the knife. Sabatier knives, the French Sabatier company, they do a set of knives where they have like a knife pocket, and you pull it out and it actually sharpens the knife. They're expensive, but then your knife never ever becomes blunt. It always scares me when I take it out. You know, I'm very careful with it because it's so sharp, because the pocket that it comes in, when you take it out, it literally it has a sharpener on it when you draw it out. So that's a solution for you.
Can you get it and show us?
Well, it's it's in the kitchen. Yeah, sure.
I will. I'm going to spotlight Mariska. We have another comment from Gatha. Haha, so humorous. I'm enjoying Madam Mariska Dupree's talk. How about that? Thank you. I'm going to spotlight Mariska so Caroline can go. I'll just take Caroline off. Caroline's going to go and get her knife sharpener. So. And I'm sure this is going to be interesting to you because that's important.
It is very important. So good quality knives is always something that I am looking out for. And yeah, having one thing that I have noticed, so I don't sharpen our knives because, well, hubby has a specific way of doing that and he's really, really good at it. So I leave that in his capable hands and he leaves the cooking in mine. But yes, having the right tools to make sure that you have sharp knives and having good quality material knives is also very important, because I have found that some knives, even if you try to sharpen them, the material itself is so bad that it doesn't really help.
It's
no
dangerous.
Matter what you do with it.
Caroline's back. Let's bring her. Before I do you have two sets of dishes? Do you have dishes you use for yourself and your husband? And then do you have a set of china that you use when people are over?
We have a set that is larger that we normally use if we have more people over. And then we have our daily use set. But we sometimes use the other ones as well because there's different sizes to some of the cutlery in that set. So we mix them up. It's not only for special occasions.
I love it. All right, she's back. Show us what you have.
Oh, this is the knife. And this is the pocket.
Is that blood on there?
It's a see-through pocket. Can you see it? Yeah.
And what is the red
here? This is the sharpener, this bit here. So when you remove it, it actually comes through the sharp bit there.
Wow.
That is so cool.
Oops.
So that sharpens other knives.
Well, this is the only one that I use that's sharpened. I don't want to sharpen the others. This one's the scary knife. But, you know, it's a very well-made knife. Sabatier is just incredible. I used to be a baker a long time ago, and Sabatier were the knives that they recommended. But you can't hurt yourself because of the pocket.
And you can actually hear it coming out.
That sounded sharp.
Sharpening.
It is. Scary sharp.
So in other words, just so I understand, that pocket will sharpen that knife. Each knife has to have its own specific custom pocket.
It's this here. This is the sharp bit. So this is the protection that covers the blade. And when you pull it out, you can hear it.
I can see you as an extra in movies.
It goes all the way up. It goes all the way up, you know, sort of when it's in the pocket. It actually goes all the way up the knife edge.
A pocket knife.
So it's just a very it's a neat idea, isn't it? You know,
it sure is.
This is one of those expensive knives that have a solution.
It sounds like a great gift to give. The gift that keeps giving.
Sabatier knives are a gold mine. They really are. So my favorite recipe, one of the things that I started to do was because of the change in our cost of living crisis, I decided to, instead of buying sauces, because I would buy bottled sauces, I decided to start making them. and I decided to start making tasty rice as well. So I was buying the packet rice. I don't have a microwave, so I was actually using, the packets and then putting half a pack in the oven for one serving. Now I make very tasty rice. So I buy whole grain rice with nothing added, so the wholemeal whole grain. I boil it with spices, and one of the main things that I use is turmeric, because I really like the flavor of turmeric. A little bit of chili, a little bit of cumin, a little bit of ginger, and a little bit of the lime peel. I let that boil, and all the seasoning soaks in. Oh, I also grate some fresh ginger, so it boils inside. And then when I strain it, I chop up half a red onion very finely and throw the red onion in, and it's just so tasty. It really is. So that's the rice. And for the sauce, and this is massive for me, because I just used to buy lots of different bottles, which wasn't helpful, and it was very expensive and quite salty. So now I just sweat down some red onion and with a little bit of olive oil, and then I move through adding all the different spices, so chili, cumin, turmeric, anything that I can lay my hands on, really, a bit of jalapeno pepper. I just have this big, sort of container of spices that I got from a chef, and I just, I'll have a bit of that in that one this time. And one of the secrets is to use passata. When I use passata, it actually gives it more body, and it brings it to a fuller taste. And it took me a little while to work out, because I thought, well, how do I thicken this? Because I didn't want to use corn flour or flours. So I thicken it with sweet potato and with butternut squash. And it's just so tasty. And essentially, sort of I cook a batch, sort of my pan is full, and then I, cool it down and put it in the fridge, and then because sauces over days, they become tastier, and they sort of, they become fuller in body. And so I marinate my chicken, with some sauce, and put some onions in. And I also season the chicken with tomato puree, so that all the spices stick to it. And I have about 4 or 5 days of sort of raw chicken, and I season them all up. And so that, again, within days, that becomes very tasty. And so by the time I've got my very seasoned and tasty rice, which is, I've only put a very small amount of rock salt in there, like a teaspoon of rock salt, because that's very healthy salt. I have a pepper grind, a black pepper grind, and just sort of, turn the yes. So, and the other thing I have is I cook out sweet potato wedges, and I have wedges with it, and it's just really, it's wholesome. I feel like I've had something really whole, and it's very nutritious. And I've actually been losing weight since I've been cooking my own sauces, and it's kind of quite funny, really. But it's not much of a recipe in terms of, I'm sort of saying, okay, then what can I throw in here today?
Right. You're just going with your instincts and putting things together.
So and it's tasty.
Yeah. I hear that. Yeah.
It's like I have a taste monster.
Well, I'm wondering, as we're coming towards the end of our show, if you have any recipes that you want to share with our audience. And it doesn't have to be specific 2 teaspoons of this, but something that's easy to make that we can provide the recipe later.
I have a recipe which I've made in the summer. So we're getting into those spring, summer months now. And my recipe is grated carrot, grated onion, grated chopped up and smashed up avocado, chopped up beetroot, have to think about all the different things. And I literally just chop and chop and chop away, and I mix it all together, and I add whatever I want to add, a little bit of chicken or tuna or smoked salmon, and just literally, sultanas is another thing as well that I add to it. And it's just a really tasty, it's a 5-a-day nutritional, no cook salad. And I can share that recipe after the show. I shall send it to you on Messenger, and then you can share it with everyone, because it's a really, really nice recipe and extremely tasty.
Excellent. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. What about you, Mariska?
I think salad, especially seeing as, well, you guys are going into summer, so salads are really good during summer. You need some salad leaves around about, so if you do your hands about this much, depending on, of course, how many people you want to serve and how many people eat salad in your vicinity, because that is sometimes a problem. Okay, so you have the salad leaf, then you have peaches if you can get them. They are really, really good in the salad. It's all good if you don't, but if you can get them, they're really good. So you chop them into small little slivers, and you take a cucumber and you chop them up as well. And then you take almonds, preferably if you can get them, the shaved almonds. So around about a handful of shaved almonds and a handful of dried cranberries. So sometimes with the cranberries, they do stick to one another, so you can sort of separate them so that they're all loose. And depending on your taste, bit of feta cheese, and you put all of that in a bowl, mix it up, and it's a lovely salad to do with a barbecue or any meats if you enjoy meats, or even just on its own. It's really yummy.
Yummy.
And of course, I will share said recipe as well, and easy to make.
Well, we love that. We have another comment from Gaffa. I love salad too. I think I need the recipe. There you go. You're going to get that recipe because Mariska's going to provide it, and we'll have Caroline's as well. So in the last 2+ minutes that we have, I'd love for you to share a little bit about what you're doing. Mariska, you've had a very special achievement recently, and Caroline, you've got something special coming up for you as well. So Mariska, tell us more.
Oh, okay. So let's start with special achievement. Thank you, Dr. JACALYN. I have recently got my PCC accreditation. So it's an ICF, which is the International Coach Federation accreditation. So PCC is for professional coach. There's another C that I can't remember what it stands for now. In any case, and that is the thing that I am celebrating. So it takes a couple of about 500 plus coaching hours. So 500 plus hours I needed to coach different people, and a lot of training, and of course a test. So there's quite a bit of work that goes into it. So that's the celebratory part. And then, of course, for those that may or may not know me, I love working with specialists going into leadership roles, as well as leaders going further into their leadership roles. And if you are a specialist or know of a specialist that is going through this type of transition, please get in contact, and we will bring a little bit more humanness within your leadership. And that's what I do.
Lovely. Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Fantastic. All right. In the last few seconds, we have Caroline. Tell us about what's up and coming for you.
Well, I'm in the process of selling my property in London and buying a new home, a new beautiful home in the north in Doncaster, which is a very suburban area, and it's by the end of this month I should be moved in and completed. I'm very excited about that. So that's my news, and I help people bust their stress. So if you are suffering with any type of stress, whether it's in your relationship, whether it's physical ache and pain, or emotional or mental ache and pain, physical being achy pain in the body, mental being anxiety, depression, or anger management issues. So whatever it is that you're complaining about, and I will help you bust your stress so that you feel more relaxed and more peaceful, and you gain an incredible night's sleep. So you can reach me on my email, which is listed here, nomorestress@live.co.uk, or reach out and call on +44 if you're international. If you're local, 07523 120 189.
Thank you. Congratulations to you also. Woo! I really feel like we should have a cheer. Bust your stress. Bust your stress. All together now. Bust
your stress.
Okay, there we go. Well, thank you to everyone who's watching or listening, and especially to our new follower, Gaffa. We're so glad to have you with us. If you'd like to join us on a future show, Gaffa, or anyone else who's out there, please go over to our website, usaglobaltv.com. Book your session. Our next show is coming up. It's the Sales Leader Roundtable. So please do join us for that, followed by Entrepreneur and so much more. Thanks so much, ladies. We'll see you. Mariska, you will not be here next week, or you will?
Next week, it is Tuesday when it is Easter for you guys. So if we are doing a show on Easter, I will be here.
It's Monday.
Well, yes, it's Easter Monday for you, but it's Tuesday for me. So it's past the Easter Monday. So yes, I'm available.
All right. You know where I'll be. I'll see you all. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.